Think about your typical evening. You finish work, sit down, pick up your phone or turn on the TV. An hour passes, maybe two, and before you know it, the whole evening is gone. You've made zero progress on your goals and then go to bed feeling drained, telling yourself that tomorrow will be better, only to repeat the same pattern. This is the loop that keeps most guys stuck. And what makes it so frustrating is that they're trying to fix it. They delete apps, they set screen time limits, promise that they'll change, but end up stuck in this pattern no matter what they do. And the reason for this is something that almost nobody is talking about, and that is exactly what this video is about. My name's Eddie. I left the UK, built my ideal life in Brazil, and I've helped dozens of guys do their own version of the same thing by breaking out of the distraction and drifting loop and building the life they actually want. And before we get into why this loop keeps on happening, I want to explain something that's absolutely key for understanding this video: your nervous system. Think of your nervous system as a dial. At one end, you've got what's called the sympathetic state. This is your body's stress and activation mode. So stress, anxiety, that feeling that you just can't switch off, tense muscles, constant mental noise, or on edge or irritable for no apparent reason. At the other end of the dial, you've got the parasympathetic state. This is your body's recovery and calm mode. Your mind is quiet. You feel present, clear-headed, grounded, and relaxed. And how does this dial look for most guys? They're constantly sitting on the left side of the dial, and not in a dramatic way, but in a low-grade background way, slightly tense, slightly reactive, never fully switching off. And the sad part about this is that most of them have been there so long that they think that it's just how they are. It isn't. It's just a state, and states can be changed. Now here's how this connects to everything I described at the start. Think of your energy and mental clarity as a tank. You start the day with a full tank, and all day long things drain it. Work stress, decisions, notifications, context switching, every moment of low-level pressure takes something out of this tank. And by the evening, most men are running on maybe 20%. And when this happens, your nervous system is already far to the left of the dial. And what happens when your energy is depleted, your nervous system is stressed, your brain starts hunting for dopamine. And because you're so tired, it gravitates towards the easiest source possible, your phone. It's the same reason you order a takeaway instead of cooking when you're hungry and exhausted. Only here the quick fix is scrolling, TV, or other forms of passive entertainment. And here's the big problem. This stimulation doesn't move the dial towards recovery. Just like junk food doesn't actually nourish you. You don't feel replenished afterwards, you feel worse, and that dial keeps pushing further to the left. And the reason is simple: your nervous system can't tell the difference between work stress and screen stimulation. It just knows that it's still receiving input. So you go to bed overstimulated, you sleep badly, and then already wake up below baseline. And over weeks and months, this compounds. Brain fog, low energy, needing caffeine just to feel normal, struggling to focus, feeling stressed even when there's nothing particularly stressful going on. And another problem is that when your nervous system is overwhelmed, your self-awareness takes a massive hit. You're already deep into the cycle before you've even clocked it, trapped in the sympathetic state, unable to see things clearly. And this is why men stay stuck, because the state they're in makes real self-awareness almost impossible. So now you're probably wondering this: what is the actual solution, and how do I actually break out of this cycle once and for all? First of all, let me tell you what it isn't through. It's not through downloading another productivity app. It's not through deleting apps. And it's definitely not through rigid discipline and forcing yourself to stop through sheer willpower. So what is it? And hopefully from watching this video up to now, you have somewhat of an idea. It's learning to deliberately shift your own physiological state to move from stressed and reactive to calm and grounded whenever that dial starts moving too far to the left. And the key part here is doing this early, before the stress builds too high. You're stepping in before you've hit that point where it becomes hard to come back from. This is what I call the nervous system reset, the practice of deliberately moving the dial back. And when you do this properly, the shift is very noticeable. You go from feeling foggy, tense, on edge, to very calm, clear-headed, and present. And this isn't magic, it's just physiology. You're using the right tools your body already has to activate this. So you're probably wondering, how do you actually do this? And I'm going to start with a few things that create a smaller shift and then get into the thing that will really move the needle to the point where you almost feel like a different person compared to before. So starting with the smaller shifts, and these are worth knowing because they're accessible to almost anyone. Things like a 10-15 minute walk without your phone, sitting outside with no screens, or even just lying on the sofa for 10 minutes with zero stimulation. And what these do is they give your nervous system a mini reset, a break from the constant input loop. The sauna or steam room is another really good one. The heat forces your body to relax, drops cortisol, and shifts your state noticeably. So these things work. Use them. They're far better than the default. But if you want to really move that dial, there's one practice that gets you there in a way nothing else does. It combines everything that actually works. Breathing techniques which directly activate this parasympathetic state. Uncomfortable holds which train your ability to sit with discomfort without immediately reaching for relief. Deep stretching and movement. Think yoga, qigong, which clears the physical tension that accumulates in your body throughout the day. Meditation, which quiets the mental noise and brings you back to the present. And also proper deep relaxation, which brings your brain into genuine recovery mode. So each of these things help on their own, and you've probably tried some of them already. Maybe you've done Wim Hof and you feel energized afterwards. Maybe you've done a bit of yoga or meditation. But when you combine all of these things I mentioned into a single practice, the results are in a completely different league. And the longer you do this, the more the effects compound. And the problem is finding something out there that genuinely combines all of these practices. It's rare. And this is why most people never really experience what this full reset actually feels like. But the first time you do it, most men are immediately convinced. You go intense, you come out calm and present. But what surprises most people is that you can deliberately control your own state. And once you know you can do this, it changes everything. And if you want to learn more about the exact practice I use, drop me a message in the link below. So what actually changes when you build this habit consistently? The first thing is time. The irony is that this 45-minute reset gives you back 2 to 3 hours of actual productive time, because instead of drifting through low quality scrolling for 3 hours and going to bed still wired, you reset, you're clear-headed, and you actually have the capacity to do something intentional. Sleep quality shifts significantly. You're going to sleep from a regulated state, and the difference in how you wake up is immediate and noticeable. Your energy levels stabilize, the brain fog, the reliance on caffeine, the mid-morning crash. These are all symptoms of a system that never fully recovers. So your baseline energy is much higher. You're not starting the day on 20%. You're starting it on 100%, and it never drops to those dangerously low levels because you intervene before it gets there. Also, your self-awareness goes up dramatically. When your baseline is calm, you start to see your own patterns clearly for the first time. These urges to scroll, you notice them before you act. This irritability, you catch the trigger before you react. The gap between impulse and action opens up and you get to choose. And this is where real behavior change actually happens, not through willpower. Your baseline confidence shifts, and the patterns that felt impossible to break start to shift because you can finally see them clearly enough to intervene. So fix the state and your evenings change with it. But the irony is that most guys are still bleeding hours during the day, long before their evenings even start. And watch this video next and I'll show you exactly where your day is leaking before you even get home.